So the Lakers have a massive game today, arguably the most important game the rest of the way. They do still play the Clippers and the Suns, but depending on how things shape up, the Lakers very well could be in that 7th, 8th spot when all is said and done at the end of the year, especially with tiebreakers over like the Warriors, the Pelicans, the Thunder. But the Timberwolves, they don't have the tiebreaker on, even if they win this game today. But this would essentially give them space to where now all they have to do is just kind of outpace the Timberwolves the rest of the way. And then they would, if they were in that 7-8 spot, even against the Timberwolves, they would at least get home court, which could be very valuable, very important as they go to try to make a push for the playoffs. So again, Lakers, they have to show up today. This is very important. They are currently a team that is 4-0 with everybody healthy. That is something worth noting. Granted, I understand it's a small sample size, but we've seen this team just really thrive. They are outscoring teams by like 130 points per 100 possessions with this roster, which is really, again, very big, very important, very significant when you're talking offense. And then on top of that, got an elite defense with this team. So combine those two, they should get the win against the Timberwolves. This is a road game in Minnesota. This is a game in which this will be the second of this road trip. After this, they kind of have the next two games you'd imagine are smooth sailings. Play the Rockets, they play the Jazz, and can go 4-0 to kind of start this road trip. That would be massive. And then they got that Clipper game, which is technically a road game, but it's in Staples Center as they try to make a push. I think if they beat the Minnesota Timberwolves, they will at worst finish 6-1. Those are my thoughts. Those are my opinions. I think it also would give them a real shot to go 7-0. They can go 7-0. Maybe they move into the 6th seed. I don't know if they'll be able to pass the Warriors. The Warriors have a pretty easy schedule. Clippers, though, Clippers got a kind of a little interesting road ahead that could be very interesting. And then, of course, Lakers right now are in the 9th seed. But if they win, that would put them at 39 and 38, which would move them into the 7th spot. Pelicans would be the 8th spot. Timberwolves, I believe, would drop, if I'm not mistaken, to the 9th, although Pelicans have an insane road ahead. But you saw teams like, for example, Denver sat the Joker, sat Jokic. So it's kind of questions of like, are teams trying to help try to suppress the Lakers and keep them from going up into the playoffs, which is something that really could happen. We could see it. We saw it a little bit last year. I imagine teams are going to make some adjustments this year, but the Lakers control their own destiny. As long as they continue to win, continue to do their part, Anthony Davis, he's going to have a monster game. This is going to be a very interesting matchup, right? Minnesota, they're big, they're long. They have mismatches for us because we don't have another center. Now, I do believe Naz Reid isn't playing today. If that's the case, then that would be huge. That just one less sizable guy who's been really good for Minnesota, that would be an advantage for us. But regardless, we have enough talent. We have enough with this roster to get the job done. I'm curious to see if Austin Reeves will continue to be in that starting lineup. LeBron, obviously, we're going to need probably a big game from LeBron, right? This was the reason LeBron came back early and when he did. He wanted to make a push to try to get that 6th seed. He wanted to feel and put this team in a position to have confidence going forward. And so far, that's been done, right? Lakers lost their first game with LeBron back in Chicago. Guys didn't really show up. It happens, right? You have a bad game. It's rough. LeBron's first game, he was trying to get his feet under him. He looked much better in the previous game. They made the adjustments. They had a great game plan, great execution. I expect that to happen in this coming matchup, right? Run it through LeBron James if you have to, right? You saw in the Bulls game, because you had the Bulls were really putting pressure on our guards. So what happened? Anthony Davis brought the ball up, and they couldn't do anything about it because what are they going to do? They're going to have, Vu guard Anthony Davis the entire length of the court. That's not going to happen. So same thing. If you have to make adjustments throughout this game, you got to do it, right? Darvin Ham has shown the ability to make adjustments and make changes, right? He did the whole shift change, and it didn't work. So he made the adjustment and kept, LeBron in and D'Lo and all of that, AD at times. So I expect Darvin Ham to adjust on the fly. I know some people feel like he doesn't make the best adjustments at times and he's not the best coach ever, but we have seen him be able to execute in certain capacities. So we need that in this game. Also, this is the revenge game, right? D'Angelo Russell didn't play in the last Timberwolves game. We're missing several guys in the last Timberwolves game. So this is a real opportunity for the Lakers and just some of the players, right? If you were ever going to get Beasley to wake back up and kind of get in a rhythm, which the Lakers really could use, right? The Lakers really need Beasley to kind of find himself. Now, last time Beasley played against Minnesota, he gave us 15 points, 3 of 6 from 3. So hopefully we could get something like that. He had 15 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist. You had Jared Vanderbilt, who had 8 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. He was 3 of 5 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, and also had 2 steals. Beasley even had a steal. So hopefully those two guys can replicate something like that. I would love to see Beasley go off for 20, and maybe this is the game that kind of turns things around. But we also didn't have D'Angelo Russell in that game. We also didn't have LeBron James in that game, and we only lost by 8 points. And if you remember that game, that was a game that felt like we should have and could have won that game. I imagine D'Lo, right? I think he is going to be the huge factor in this game. You imagine he's going to want to go off in Minnesota, right, against the team that traded him back to the Lakers, right? It's just it's setting the stage for big games from Beasley and D'Angelo Russell. Hopefully both, but at worst, hopefully D'Lo has a big game. And I'm not saying D'Lo has to go off for like 30 or 40 or anything like that, but just show, give us a 20-point game or something like that. Shoot effective, shoot efficiently, show like what this team is missing, right? Minnesota has been a good team as of late. They've been really good. Guys are really thriving and coming together. They have some very big and notable wins. But this, again, is a game that I really do believe the Lakers can get done. And we saw D'Lo's ability to play off the ball, to play on the ball, to knock down the 3 ball and be effective and efficient. I mean, even in the Bulls game, right? He was 7 of 12 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. He's just a constant threat, which is just very valuable. His ability to play off of LeBron James, off of Anthony Davis, him and his ability to run the pick and roll, run the pick and pop, score and attack at all 3 levels. I just think D'Lo is really going to be a factor, not only in this game, but going forward, but especially in this game, right? This is the game that feels like, okay, guys can pick back up, guys can, kind of get into the flow, get into the rhythm. But Minnesota, this is as valuable to Minnesota as it is to us, right? Minnesota really needs this game as much as we do. And they just are coming off of a game against Phoenix that Minnesota should have won, right? Minnesota really should have won that game. Couple mishaps down the stretch. Rudy Gobert just really kind of just lost that game for them in many ways down the stretch. Although, like I always say, one guy doesn't lose you the game, but he was doing everything he could to keep them. Plus, guys didn't really have a great game. I mean, Mike Conley was like 3 of 13, 1 of 7 from 3. Edwards, he was the big star with 31 points, 13 of 22, 3 of 9. But outside of that, like Rudy had 7. Towns did have 25 and was very efficient. But nobody else really stepped up big except for Naz Reid. Now they're not going to have Reid. So will we be able to do that? D'Lo, we need to see him, continue to do his playmaking, continue to get his scoring. There was a lot of talk, right? Minnesota took some jabs at D'Lo. D'Lo took some jabs at Minnesota. D'Lo was talking smack about Minnesota while he was on Minnesota. I mean, he was clowning Rudy Gobert, talking about like he doesn't have hands, and just expressing his frustration. There was talks about their reaching a boiling point, right? So there's some bad blood between D'Lo and Minnesota, and I really want to see D'Lo capitalize on that bad blood and just show, right? Like, don't get me wrong, Mike Conley is a savvy vet who still is a very solid player and gives that team some maturity, as Minnesota like to put it, right? They wanted to get back to some maturity. A guy that isn't as flashy, right? I'm all for the flash. This is LA, right? This is showtime. Let's get a little flash. Let's get a little flair. Let's go see a D'Lo give us, 25 and 8 or something like that. Or even like the Knicks game. He gave us 33, 6 and 9 or something like that. Like, let's do that. I'm all for that. Anthony Edwards, you're going to have to contain. You're going to have to try to keep him reasonable, right? If you have to, put Jared Vanderbilt on Edwards. You're going to have Anthony Davis on Rudy Gobert, and then you're going to have LeBron James very likely on Towns. I'm okay with that, right? And then have like D'Lo on like a Mike Conley, maybe Reeves on McDaniels, although you got to watch him because he can go off, and he's a really good perimeter defender. But we have what it takes to win this game. We have the intangibles. We have the players. We have the skills. We have everything. Everything. It is a road game, so there's always that inherent built-in advantage that teams have just being at home. But we've proven and have been a very good road team this year, and especially with this roster. And I think that we need to do our job. Just go out there, play our brand of basketball. Don't play into the Timberwolves brand. Play into our brand of basketball, and I think we'll walk away with the W. And then if that happens, then you got a pretty reasonable stretch, right? You got 5 games left. 3 of those games are against what should be gimme games, right? You beat the Bulls, you beat the Timberwolves. You should be able to beat the Rockets and the Jazz and the Jazz again. And then it just kind of boils down to those Suns and Clippers games where can you win both of those games, or can you, at least split those, maybe beat the Clippers but lose to the Suns. You're probably this Clippers may be the game that you really want to get, right? Because the Clippers game may be the difference between you getting the 7th seed and 6th seed. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that shapes up. Because again, the Warriors, they're very likely going to move into that 5 spot. The way that their schedule looks, they might not lose another game the rest of the way. We'll see what happens in the Denver game. But as far as the Lakers go, I really do think that this is an opportunity here that we need to capitalize on, and then just go the rest of the way, right? If we can win all of our games, that'd be great. Because again, the Clippers, they play the Grizzlies again in Memphis. Memphis just lost to them, so you imagine the Grizzlies are going to want to bounce back. Then they got the Pelicans. Pelicans are doing everything they can to fight for seeding and to try to stay in the play-in 7-8 spot. No, that's their goal. So you know that they're going to be giving the Clippers their all, and then we play them, right? And let's say they lose to the Grizzlies and the Pelicans. All of a sudden they go to us. They could be on a 3-game losing streak. And all they would have left is the Blazers and the Suns. The Suns, they could be fighting for seeding still, at that point. All of a sudden, Clippers lose 3 games. That would put them at 39 losses, which we might not even get to 39 if we beat the Clippers. Or if we do, let's say we lose to the Suns, right? Like now, let's say the Clippers lose that game against the Suns. Now we're in the 6th spot. Right? Because we would have 39 losses. They would have 40 losses. That would be the end of the season. They would be 42 and 40. We'd be 43. I mean, it gives us an opportunity. It's going to be tough. It's going to be rough, but you take it one game at a time, and let's go get this Minnesota win. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Think we get it? Think we don't? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below.